So I think that fear is a thing that happens in bodies, right? And as I think I use the example in that article about a strange dog kind of rushed somebody and they panicked, and that's just bodies being bodies. There's no crisis in that. That's not a problem. But when we identify with that fear, when we sort of psychologically become entangled with that fear, and we start to feel like that fear is a reflection of who we are, we're judging ourselves for fear. I think we start to get confused. And then I think we start to elevate and we start to create these additional fears. Am I fitting in at my place of employment well enough? What's my role in the family? How does society look at me? Am I wearing the right clothes? Like the whole thing, this fear of I'm not enough, that this fear that I'm going to die, this fear that I'm going to be hurt, all of those fears are very much associated with the body. Those are things that happen in bodies. We take those fears and we run with them. Like we take that and we run with that. We make it so much more complicated and difficult than it has to be. The suggestion is that way down at the bottom, way down at the bottom, almost beyond our capacity to perceive, creation, love, cooperation, that very fundamental principle is what brings us forth. We're aspects and elements of creation, and creation doesn't have fear in it. Creation doesn't. Creation is perfect. It is perfect. And the fear comes when I separate. The fear comes when I isolate, because that's when I start to feel like, oh my God, I have to protect myself. I've got to look out for myself. I can't trust people. I forget that there's oneness. I forget that there's unity, and I lose that. So fear is a decision that we make. And the Course is really clear about that. Fear is a decision to be separate and to accept the effects and consequences of separation. One doesn't have to accept that. One can go back and, as the Course says at the very end in its penultimate chapter, choose again. Choose love. Choose unity. Choose the end of fear. You can do that. We can do that.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty radical concept because so much of what we're programmed in society to believe is that like fear is a fundamental human condition and that
Yeah.
it aids our survival. And I guess to your point, the requisite condition for that to be true is that you're a body.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, what if you're not a body? Then like, doesn't matter what happens, as alarming of a statement as that might be.
It is a radical, disarming statement. It's a hard thing to say, and it's tough. You can't say that to just anybody. But it's a concept that's worth investigating in our living. How does fear arise in my life? What does it do to me? Do I want it? Do I need it? Do I have some say in this? Is there some way to not experience this? And the answer to those questions is yes. You don't have to be scared. You know.
And I would just kind of chime in with my own 2 cents here that like it's a continuum of experience where at least for me, like I wasn't like I woke up one day and never had fear,
Yeah.
but over time, what happened is essentially developing an acuity of recognizing fear as it arises, not identifying with it, watching
Mhm.
it, seeing it, and then letting it pass through. It's
Yes.
kind of like if a bird landed on a tree in front of me and then the bird flew away, it's like that's just all it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing really to get all worked up about. Like it kind of becomes that experience with
Yes.
increasing frequency and consistency.
Yeah, A Course in Miracles, that's a great point, because A Course in Miracles is very consistent that our work is to notice the fear. We don't have to do anything to the fear. The bird analogy is lovely. You have to look at it. You have to notice it. You have to own that part of it, but you aren't personally responsible for healing it. You just have to observe. The healing part of it happens at another level.
And that's what's so cool is that our only like the natural tendency of uh consciousness, I guess, is to move towards healing.
Yes.
And I would say the same with the body too. It's like eventually you realize that like all you have to do is get out of the way.
Yes.
And thank you for checking out this clip. If you want to see the full episode, you can do so by going up here. I hope you have a wonderful day.